did an array that would subtract ages in the index of 0 and ages at length -1, which would be the first and the last index of the array. And then I just ran a loop that would return that equation through all the iterations. Next function I did was the average array, which I just created a loop array with two new variables inside the function, which are sum and count. Sum would just stay at 0, count would be the length of the array. And then I would just use plus or equals to cycle through the entire length of the array and add up all the array, which is for sum, and then the return would just be sum divided by the count to get the average. For question 2, I did the same thing basically, but what I did was instead of just adding the sum being plus or minus the actual array itself, I needed to do names dot length in order to add the length of the indexes in the array rather than the just because those were strings, they weren't numbers. So I just had to convert those into numbers. For the next one, I did the names. I did the names and then spaced them out. So I basically just created a new array namespace, and I had a loop that would iterate through the whole thing. And what it would do is at the very end of the array, once I was less than names length -1, it would take all of the ones that it's accumulated so far and add a space in between them and create create a list of all of them written out with a space. The next one I did was a simple for loop, and what I did is I just pushed the names dot length through into a new array, which was the names length array, in order to get an array of all of them. The next one I did was just the sum of them. So basically I just put the names length array, which I already created, through a for loop with a plus or equal total and got the sum of that array. I also did it this way and created a new arrow function because I need to practice with those to do the exact same thing. But it's a arrow function with a new variable total inside the function. It would run a for loop, add all of the arrays into the total and return the total. That's important for another question because I used it again. For question 7, it was a simple combine function. I just console.logged word.repeat_n, which would just repeat word n amount of times. Question 8, I was a simple just addition function. I just created it that would just console log first name plus last name plus a space in a string in between each of those. 9 was another sum array, so I basically just did the same thing I did up where sum equals 0 and I would add it through the array. The only thing that did different is I had an if else statement after it that would log true if the sum was greater than 100. If anything else, it would log false. I did another function for the next one where I created same thing, just a sum. Well, it was an average actually. So it was sum, count, average array. So I would get the sum the same way I did in all the other ones. And I would just console.log the sum divided by count, which is the length of the array to get the average. In question 11, I just basically the average array that I already did, I basically ran it twice on 2 different arrays, array 1 and array 2. And then I added an if else statement to say if array 1 was bigger than array 2, log true. If anything else, log false. So that's all I did for that one. For the next, actually for that same one, I did it twice too, just for practice. And this is where I used the sum of array, where I created that equation already in question 6, and I plugged it into a new function that would do a callback on those two, on that program, and then return true or false based on that single line answer using that pre-made function. So just a lot easier way of writing it. Question 12 was a really simple Boolean. I just basically, it was hot outside equals true and money in pocket is greater than that, then log true if anything else false. And for mine, I did something similar, but I wanted to make sure that I could buy a Lego set and if I have to have money in the bank as well. So it only do true if the Lego set itself was cool. And if not only I had money, but I also was going to continue to have money, at least $50 in the bank, then it would tell me, yeah, I can get a new set or it's not worth it. That's it. Thank you. I mean, other than that, I just ran get add, get commit, rebase to make sure everything was okay, and pushed it through, and I'll add all of the links onto the assignment.